Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kuttin Krew.
Woo!
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the crew here. We got
Taylor here.
Yep, this is Patrick.
Hey guys, you got Chris here.
And we got Andrew on the recorder.
All right, and we got Carlos, your host, Carlos. All right, you guys. Well, hey, it's been a long time. I'm excited that we are back at the new show.
Almost.
So now, okay, Patrick, who would you like to give a shout out to today?
Well, of course, I gotta get a shout out to the good old ball and chain Liz out there. I gotta get a shout out to my twin brother Paul out there. I gotta get a shout out to my family, my Rainbows family. I work with kids and just the whole community. So just to continue to support us.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to my wife, my beautiful wife, and two beautiful kids for supporting, as well as my good friends on the inbound crew at Target. I like them out there supporting us, and I don't have a lot of friends, so.
And you know what? I'm giving out my shout out to you, Carlos. You brought us back together. You're doing good things.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I just
true.
Really just giving props to you for this one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm a friend for you, Chris.
Yeah,
Don't
there
worry
you
about
go.
that. And thank you, Ted. I appreciate that. It's real nice, real nice. Andrew?
Honestly, I'll just have to give a shout out to Carlos too, just because giving me this opportunity to do something new, some fun, meet some new people.
That's right.
Make some new friends. I'll take it.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm really touched.
Shout out
There
to
you
Carlos.
go.
That's
All
our
right.
shout outs
Thank
now.
you, guys.
There we go.
Well, hey, first and foremost, I want to also say thank you guys for coming back, tuning in. We're going to come back stronger than ever, and sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I also want to thank God. Thank you every day for being there for me and showing love. Also, I want to say thank you to my beautiful wife. Love you, honey. Also, thank you to my brother and sister for being supportive, and also my kids. I love you guys, and to the audience, to the listeners, and for the people that have supported us, thank you so much. And also want to say that one of our members here, she's not feeling too good. Nancy, I hope you feel better, and we'll pray for you. So the subject here that we got today, we're just going to talk about what has happened to us during 2020, since it's been a long time that we've done a recording of the Kuttin Krew. So I'm going to start this off with Chris. So how has been your 2020 year?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Pat here before we started recording, and 2020 for me, as kind of an introvert, wasn't that much different than most of my regular life. I work early mornings before stores open, and I stay at home with my kids. So, but I did miss a few things. There was definitely some losses of, there were some friends lost, unfortunately, throughout the year. So there were some sad moments. I try to reflect on the happier times in my life, but it wasn't the easiest year by any means. But good. Glad it's behind us, and hope we can keep trucking forward and don't have a relapse of 2020 and 2021 or 22.
For sure.
Definitely don't want to go through that again.
And you, Patrick?
Oh, yes. I think the most positive thing that happened to me was I started a garage gang. This garage gang was a group of people that just wanted to work out. And I had a friend that had a garage gym in a garage. And so me and my brother, a couple of friends, started working out. And we just started inviting people. And we just developed this, what we called the Gucci Garage Gang. Because we kept saying Gucci. And so now what we be doing every Saturday, we go to different gyms, different places, and do a boot camp. So if a gym invites us, we do the boot camp. And what we do is we promote it through the Instagram that my brother and I have, so that it promotes that gym and that it kind of gets them recognized. So we have been to gyms that's been popular. We've been to gyms that just open. So it's been a great experience. I think the only thing that's been an adjustment to me is kind of like what you said, Chris, you're an introvert, I'm an extrovert. I'm coming from the office back to the home. And I think a lot of people don't realize is that when you come from an office to a home, you have to station your home as an office. So if you have kids, they see mom and dad, and they're like, "Mom, Dad, you're at home." They're like, "No, I'm working. This is work. This is not home." So I don't have kids, but at first I was like, "Man, that's cool. I'll get to work at home. I can chill. Don't have to." The couple weeks was good. After, I couldn't. I tried to work, and I'm turning. I'm like, well, my TV's over here, and I want to finish that show. So let me finish the show, and I get back to work, do that. Then I'm seeing laundry. I'm seeing dirty dishes. I get so distracted. So I'll tell you this. When I went to Starbucks the first time to do some work, I was productive. I was focused.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get out the house. I needed to. But I mean, it's great now to work at home at some times, but I was looking forward to working in the office.
And you're mostly in the office
Yes.
now,
Now I'm mostly
100%, or
yeah, 100%. But I like the fact that I can still work at home. So if I feel bored at the office and I'm like, you know what, I'm just not feeling staying, I can just go back home and I'll finish it up.
I think that's a good thing a lot of people found. My wife is kind of in a hybrid office, work
Right.
at home. They don't want too many people. They don't want everyone back at the exact
Mhm.
same time. She works with the Wichita University here,
Mhm.
and they don't want everyone there all the time, but they're wanting everyone to kind of get in there sometimes and
Mhm.
transitioning into a full time back there. And so I know that they're there's that. They finally got used to being at home,
Mhm.
and now now we got to go back to the office and try to figure, because now they're having the reverse where showing up at the office and not being able to get anything done
Yes.
because, hey, how's it going? Haven't
Yep.
seen you in a year. Haven't seen you in a year. I used to see you guys every day, and
Mhm.
so I know that she's gone in a couple times, and for an afternoon, and spent most of that afternoon just seeing people for the first time or in a long time.
Right.
So it's kind of that reverse of the
Right.
original problem of focus.
Right. Right. So, good example of what I felt that it's been helpful to work at home. My mom had surgery on her foot. Now, typically pre-COVID, when we don't have a lot of family here, so technically I probably would have taken a day off
Right.
and take care of her. But since we got to work at home,
Keep the computer.
I could bring my work home. I mean, I can bring my work to the hospital. I could clock in, but I had my hotspot, had my laptop, and I was able to work, had my phone, and I was able to be at the hospital, but also help my mom during that time. So it's been a really great benefit.
I've known some people that have traveled
Yep.
a lot, where as long as they could get Wi-Fi, basically,
Yes. Mhm.
camping. I had some friends that went to Hawaii for a couple months
Yeah.
because they were online, and they're just like, hey, we're going to be locked down. Might as well be in a nice place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what about you, Taylor?
So 2020 for me was it was a unique year. Luckily, I finished school right before all the craziness hit, so that was a blessing. Moved out, got my own place, which was a transition for me, but that was a learning experience for sure. It's just part of growing up. And I think a really good thing about 2020 is we had so much extra free time. We got to kind of self-reflect, see where we were, look at the past and look at, is this, some of our shortcomings? How can we develop as people? And I was able to try, start doing that and move forward, learn new skills, and just really kind of take a step back and just like a new start almost, and to propel us into the 2021 and beyond.
So can I? Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna. So you took a more proactive stance into 2020, not a what can't I do, but what can I do.
Right. There are some
Kinda what you're saying.
restrictions. Obviously, you can't
Right.
socially, but I tried to make the most of it
Personal growth is
for sure.
definitely a social distance. What were you gonna say, Patrick?
Well, I was going to ask you. You were saying that you kind of took some time to kind of reflect and learn some skills. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm curious. Can you kind of tell us like what is one thing that you changed pre-COVID and what you have changed like that? Would you like to share that?
For sure. I'd say kind of like Chris, I'm more of a reserved person, and being socially distance doesn't really favor socializing, but I took the time to try to get out of my comfort zone when I could. I tried to do more reading, take a step back away from technology, and just really be more proactive with my time, whether it's reading, whether it's just talking on the phone with other people instead of just through social media texting, and just develop deeper, strong relationships with people. I think that was a good move.
And so how do you feel, like, I'm assuming like it was, you said out of your comfort zone, so I bet that was kind of tough at times, right?
Yeah.
How do you, is it now more is it more natural for you, or is it still kind of like, I'm still working on it? What do you think?
It's still a work in process. I think it's always going to be something that is going to just be part of my nature, but I feel like if I hadn't started then, I maybe never would have started. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I want to commend you on that, because like what Chris was saying, I don't think people did that. I felt 2020 was like, let's put a pause. You made a good point. We're reflecting on things. You were saying I was reflecting something in the past and making a change of who I am so that you can evolve into a better person. You're moving out in your new place. That's something new, figuring out who you are, right? And I think that's what I did. I felt the same way. I think that was the opportunity to be like, okay, who am I? What are some things that I can change now, so that, because I know that, like you said, if I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if COVID didn't happen, right? So this is the time to figure out your mindset, figure out the skills. Like you said, you learn some new skills, figure out your mindset, your hobbies. What do you like to do? Like, really, I think it gave us a chance to figure out where we are, right?
I kind of had two parts to my 2020 or pandemic year, since it wasn't exactly a calendar year. Like the first half, it was more just like, I'm just gonna. It's a reason not to do things, or to do just things that feel good. Like, I'm gonna just binge watch all the things I can binge watch, or I'm gonna be lazy and not take a shower as often as I should. I think some people, there was some jokes on people doing that. But that was kind of my first half, at least. And then I had, I don't know if it was an epiphany, or at least just a personal thing for me, which went for a lot of different things, which is, am I going to use this as a excuse to do things, or an excuse to do things poorly or live poorly, or a reason to get things better? And I started reading. That's what made me kind of think of that when you said you started reading more. As I was like, okay, I don't have to watch everything on Netflix this year, and Disney Plus and HBO and all. I don't have to do all those, and I don't have to play every video game. I don't have to watch every movie. I need to do things that are actually healthier for me. I need to start exercising more and reading more and interacting with my family, not around a screen for 5 seconds.
Right.
So that was my 2020. And I know some people have had variations of that, where they went into it hard and, I'm going to do everything, and then petered out, and vice versa. So I don't know. I think everyone here seems to have kind of accepted the growth aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to commend you on that, because a lot of people don't have that mindset. I think a lot of people are like, 2020, I guess I want to go back to my life, and they want to be stuck in the past. And I bet if you have friends, when things kind of open up, they're like, finally, and they're the same people, right? Mm-hmm. And you're probably like, whoa, I'm here,
right,
and you're here. I don't know where my growth is with you, and I bet once you make those changes, you start seeing who you need to be around to make yourself better. So I commend you for that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Patrick.
No problem, man.
Right back at you.
And I know Carlos had a pretty interesting 2020, didn't you?
Ooh,
very interesting. Very interesting. So where do I start? Unfortunately, we weren't able to get together to do the show. So again, it was a reflecting moment, and it was a blessing in disguise for that aspect, because overall I went back and I listened to the older shows. I was going through this time where and this is kind of spoiler here, but we would actually jump from kind of studio to studio to get recordings in, and of course I always want to be thankful to the people that have helped. Quick shout out to Nancy, Zach, and LT and Troy over there at Vibe Wichita. Thank you guys for helping me get started. They were the foundations helping me going forward. And so when COVID came through, it changed a lot of things. And so when I was at home, I had more time to reflect, and I had to think to myself, like, okay, so what can I do? Because the motto is this is for you guys, the audience, the listeners, that we talk about a variety of subjects. And at that time, I just felt I could give more and more, but I just didn't have the word resources. I'm going to use that word, the resources. So as time progressed, I said to myself, okay, we got to make a move, and we got to do it now. And like I said, and that goes back to thanking you guys for sticking with me through that time, and I appreciate that. But on the positive side, on the personal level, I'm going to say it was my finances. That's one of the key things. One day I was tired of watching Tiger King. I don't know how I got stuck watching Tiger King.
Good show, though.
So
Didn't everyone get stuck?
Every guy got stuck.
So I guess it was that moment I realized I said, okay, all right, what's going on here? So I pulled all my statements, and then I did a personal growth, and I said, okay, what can I do to improve this? And during that time, because all I did was I worked, come home, worked, come home. There was no gyms, no movies. I had everything there at home. So my home was the hot spot. So in that time, I said, okay, I'm going to better myself. So I did like the 52-week challenge. And then I said, okay, this is where we're going to do it. And I just saw the growth coming in. Now, I'm not saying I'm rich, you guys. Don't get it twisted. I'm not rich. But I'm happy and blessed that I was able to make changes. Because it just takes one leap forward. That's all it takes. Just one leap forward and keep going. Sometimes, we fall. Sometimes things happen. But we just got to learn from it and be able to dissect that and say, okay, hey, this is what happened here. We need to focus on making better adjustments here to go forward. So that was a positive thing. And also, it made me reflect as well the priorities in life in general. Re-strengthening my health, because I realized that I was taking that for granted, going out to eat a lot, not doing survival skills. And then when the restaurants were closed, I'm like, oh, I got to cook. All right, get back at it. And so I found time to learn new skills on YouTube, looking up, researching, also being able to do projects at home, building things, learning, and never really stopped with the communication with friends and family, but it was just different because of the social distancing and not being able to see them.
That was one thing that kind of almost was benefited for me, at least. I'm not born and raised in Wichita, although my immediate family, because we all moved here at the same time, is here. Most of my extended family and a lot of my friends are not here. Same for my wife. That we were able to get in contact because all of a sudden now we've got Zoom and it's normal, and Microsoft Teams and all that stuff is normal, and everybody's got access to it or knows somebody that can do it for them, for the older or less tech savvy population. And so we had, for the first time in forever, we had birthdays with old high school friends that maybe you talk to on Facebook once a year and say, comment on a picture or something. But now we're having 2-hour long conversations with all of our friends, in a big setting. And, so that was, for at least for me and my family, kind of a positive thing. And also family events, so some of our older, especially older family members that can't travel, and our cousins, their grandkids and stuff come over and with their iPads, and hey, now we've got all this, and you can see little Johnny's birthday party, even though no one can be here.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
So, hey, how about you, Andrew?
Well, I don't know, I was kind of the opposite. So I didn't actually, so where I work, and a lot of my colleagues got laid off, and it kind of sucked. But the workload did diminish, so I was bored. So I did a lot of research, a lot of improving, but then I was like, okay, I know I could do more stuff at home. So I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna work from home, which is very minuscule at this point. So I decided to research into 3D printing. I actually started doing a lot of 3D printing. I started printing
Nice.
parts for people just to make a couple bucks here and there. You know, I mean, it's cheap to do. Not cheap to start, but cheap to do.
Right.
And so then also with this pandemic, tons and tons of people went and bought computer stuff, monitors, webcams, new computers, high-end computers they really didn't need, but they had nobody to help them hook them up or build. Well, I'm in the IT industry, so friends and family were like, hey, I know a guy. Well, guess what I started doing? Building computers and helping people set up Zoom calls. You know, a lot of elderly people I met with. A lot of people didn't even realize they had the stuff to do it already. They just took someone else's word for it. But also, you know, they just don't know how to use it. But what's I thought was interesting is that tons and tons of people learned how to use the tech we have today. I mean, it's astonishing. My grandma has an iPad 4, like way back when. She had no idea how to camera. No idea.
Oh wow.
Second I showed her, super happy, taking pictures, showing off to friends. I mean, having a blast. But that's the thing, is that I don't think anybody had time to stop and realize what everything we already have can do. We just took it for granted, or we bought something extra to, because that's what they said. You know what I mean? It's just, it kind of made me think about it. So that's where I started helping people, telling them, hey, if you have a question on something, ask me. If I don't know it, I'll look it up, and or I'll tell you where to go. I'll send you an article, something, not a big deal. I love helping people. That's why I work where I work, and it just makes me feel good when I help solve a problem. The more the less I have to do, and that's what I tell people. But that makes me feel better that now how to take care of yourself a little bit better, instead of just relying on me. I feel that I've bettered, you essentially, someone else. It makes me feel way better.
The teach a man to fish philosophy.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, and that's what I love. But 2020 was definitely weird. I will say, the social distancing, where I live, wasn't totally followed. There were some people that were upset, of course, but for me, I followed it for the main reason, because I have heart issues. So I was like, well, I don't know what it's going to do to me. I'll try to play safe. You know what I mean? Just in case. I actually did get it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Still sucked. Don't get me wrong. But, it's different for everybody. I've had one person say that, they did fine. It was just like a sneeze or cough. And for me, it was just like, I didn't want to move. It hurt. I'm sweating. It's just gross.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I feel like I heard the whole spectrum.
Exactly. So, I don't know.
I knew
It's
at least
I'm
someone
glad it's
that had
over.
all versions of it,
Yeah.
asymptomatic to
Oh, yeah.
full blown.
Exactly. I'm just glad it's
Later.
over. I'm glad we're moving forward, and I'm glad that a lot of people are better from it. Honestly, it seems better to me, at least.
It goes to show that when people were taking it for granted, and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm just going to be very blunt about it. Washing hands, really? It
That
took
you
you
don't
guys
know
to
how-
realize that, and then
The global
when you're
pandemic to wash your hands.
when you're sneezing, not covering up. I mean, and then when you're talking, you get paranoid being all up close. It's kind of like, hey, step back a little bit. But overall, it just made us reflect a little bit what's going on. And like I said, we together, friends and family, and to the audience, please, just still abide by those protocols. I'm not saying you guys aren't doing it, but I mean, it's one of the things that we got to do, because we got to get through this together.
Right.
That's the way I see it. I mean, we just got to get through this together, especially for our friends and loved ones, and for the people to just be aware, because like one of the things when I was talking to the students, because I got kids that are high schoolers, and they were just telling me that not going to school. I mean, that never came around when we were going to school, but it was just awkward to see that the kids were going at home.
It seemed to really, and I mean, I think if we all reflect back to our junior high years, really seemed to affect. I don't have any teenage kids, but those young teenage kids of my friends were hit pretty hard by the lack of social. I mean, when you're a 13 or 14-year-old kid, your friends are everything.
Right.
What your friends think and what your friends do is all that matters, 90% of the time for 90% of the kids. And I know some kids that really struggled with it, and they'll probably have some, long-term issues that resulted from it, and hopefully everyone can find the help that they need. I mean, It's out there. Don't be afraid to ask.
Right.
I think there's still a little bit of stigma on mental health issues, but I think it's gotten a lot better too in the last 5 years or so. I think you hear a lot of famous people going to therapy, and it's not a joke anymore. Like we all understand that, hey, sometimes you just need to talk to someone without judgment.
Right. And I agree with you. When you were talking about the kids, I was having breakfast with one of my best friends, and her daughters were with them, and I actually commended them. I said, I don't think no one doesn't give you guys credit. I know they give credit to the first responders. They give credit to the parents. They give credit to the teachers. But I have never heard on the television, "Thank you, children, for sacrificing your social interactions, your proms, your sports, eligibilities. Thank you guys for your patience." Like I think people need to do that, because they sacrificed a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you have kids that are graduating for the first time, graduating college for the first time, going to a new grade, and then having no social interaction, and then trying to do that. I mean, I think they should be commended also, and I think they're not getting the recognition, because they were truly more. I mean, with parents, you guys had to be the teachers too, but they were really affected. I mean, as Whitney Houston say, or Randy John, what was it? From Coming to America? they're the future. They're the future in the world, and so yeah, they need to be commended more for that.
Did you guys know anyone that was dealing with, older high school or college kids that were dealing with eligibility or anything like that?
My brother, actually.
Yeah.
He
college or
high school.
High school.
Yeah, he had a very, very hard time being motivated, because he actually was taking some college courses while in high school, and he was trying to become a welder. Well, some of the cool courses.
It's a pretty hands-on.
Yeah, exactly. So he loved the hands-on stuff, but when it was taken away, he just collapsed. I mean, it was.
I just mean that'd be hard to do in a remote situation. I would think.
They canceled it.
Wow.
That's the thing. They couldn't do it.
Right.
So
because it can't be done.
Exactly. So he kind of, just devolved, and it really hurt. I mean, our family tried to help. We actually bought a welder so he can try some stuff. It didn't help. But I mean, he graduated, thankfully. But it was just overall difficult in general, just because the mindset.
Pretty heavily darkens that light at the end of the tunnel when.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
One of the things too, we also. I remember like when I was working at one of my jobs, and we had a meeting, and our boss, he gathered us up, and explained that when things were going kind of downside, to sit there and say we're getting laid off, and I wasn't prepared, and that was one of the things. Again, when I did that self-reflection, I realized, hey, if something would ever come up again, I need to be better prepared. So I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but I highly suggest, I'm not no finance counselor or anything, but I suggest that it was time to start saving up for emergency funds. I highly suggest to our audience and viewers to work on that, because you never know what's going to happen, so you might as well be prepared. So, and then also toilet paper. Stock up on your toilet paper. You guys were vicious.
Yeah.
You know,
On
it's
that.
just ridiculous. I mean, it was getting to the degrees I was selling things. Hey, I will give you one of my special edition comic books. Can I just get a roll of toilet paper? You know?
So,
That
on
was
on that note,
horrible.
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
On that note, so I actually used to have a lot of MREs, and I would keep some of the knickknacks in it. Well, a lot of it was toilet paper. And by God, I got stuck using it. So, and I don't know if whoever's opened an MRE, if you look at it, it's might as well be a tissue. Okay, it's super small. Good luck using it. You know,
Very thin.
oh yeah, it's just it just seems useless. But by God, when you couldn't buy toilet paper, you were kind of thankful if you found something.
I don't know if you guys experienced it, but I dealt with anxiety sometimes. Not like extreme anxiety, but I got anxious going to the store, especially going past.
Anywhere
the toilet.
busy, for
Everywhere
sure.
busy. I couldn't go past the toilet paper because it just made me mad.
See, and I worked at one. I
so-
would see it come in and just be like, well, that won't last an hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a little weird. It's just weird.
yeah.
And most of that, it wasn't that we don't have the ability to get it. It was the change in supply chain.
Mhm.
A lot of those industries are set up to feed both business, commercial, and residential. And a lot of people do their business in their commercial
Yeah,
buildings. And so when all that switched to residential, all of a sudden those factories weren't set up to handle quite that flow. And once that was able to catch up, they were able to, and it's been that way with everything. Just everything wasn't made. You know, people are eating out less and eating at home more. Well, we've got plenty of beef, but these weren't cut to be sold in 1 pound packages. These were cut to go to a company and get ground into one big burger for the world.
Right. Just like when they did the hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So many different companies, they're like, well, this is designed for this, but we got to make some type of hand sanitizer.
Right.
So
And
then,
you know, it just takes a little while for everyone to
right.
change their ways, I guess.
Right.
You know, speaking of unsung heroes, you know who we kind of took for granted, but very thankful. The people that were still working, all our
Essential
local
workers.
convenience stores,
Yeah, I agree.
the restaurants that were still open, our city workers. Thank you, because during that time, I mean, I work at a retail store, and I know that when you know working during this time, it was very busy, but at the same time, just being so alert.
It was scary at first, especially. I mean, I was coming home every day, and I don't work when guests are in the store that I work at. I leave before they get there, and I'd still come home and I'd take my shoes off in the garage and I even walk in with them. As soon as I get in, strip down, Lysol, disinfecting my gloves and my keys and anything that my phone, everything. I mean, it was pretty intense there for a while.
Yeah, I agree. It was like I was mentioning before, it was just hard to. It was to a point I didn't want to go grocery shopping, but I enjoyed going grocery shopping. But when my food was getting depleted, I was like, oh, I gotta go.
When we'd be like, it's Monday morning at 8:30. You don't think it'll be busy, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so I tried to go at times it wasn't busy, and it got busy, and I'd just be like, I would like have to take breaths because I know I had to go past the toilet paper aisle or hand sanitizer. Well, it was worse than toilet paper. I would just be like, and then I just kind of peek, and if I see some, I was like, okay, that means we're doing something good. We're doing something good. But once things kind of calmed down and everything was packing up and people weren't getting all wild and crazy again, I had that anxiety just kind of went away. I just wasn't as anxious as it was. It was an interesting situation.
So how about traveling wise? Has anybody traveled during that time? Anybody had any experiences on traveling? Taylor?
Yeah, did not. I had something planned with my family back in November of 2019. It was. We were scheduled to go to. No, so let me think. In November of 2019, we had bought tickets to go to Hawaii as a family, and we were supposed to travel in March.
Nice. Oh,
March.
not so nice.
So the date was approaching. We were, discussing as a family, are we going to go? Are we not going to go? But there were the numbers of COVID were so low at the time. I thought, our chances are so low, might as well. But ended up not going. So, I mean, it was for the best. We can't complain. We were all stayed safe and stayed healthy. But I know I'm not the only one who's has not been able to travel. It's been tough, especially for people who like to move from city to city, see different scenes, and kind of get out there. But thankfully we're able to start to do that again.
Were you guys able to go to your trip after things are kind of calming down, or
were you able to postpone it?
Yeah.
We're planning on October now. So
there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right when the waves are starting to pick up too.
Yeah, there we go. I actually had 2 trips actually in the Kansas City area. One was a wine trip. I don't know if you heard the Herman wine trip. Wine, it's a Herman wine trip. It's a small city in Missouri.
They've got some good wine in Missouri.
Yes. So it's a small little city, but they have nice little wineries and little breweries, and you get into these buses and they have like unlimited wines and food, and predominantly it's outside. And I was wearing my mask at the time because that was still when they were kind of opening it up a little bit, and so that was like when people were first time. Oh, it was the summer. It was that summer of last year when they were like, hey, things are kind of
summertime.
Yeah, it's summertime. Let's calm. Everything's kind of calmed down, and then that's when it just went like that. So I was very hesitant because there was a lot of people, and so I was still kind of like. And I was with my girlfriend, and her friends were nurses, and we all worked. Our group was all medical professionals, so we were still kind of antsy about it. And then I went to a wedding, and it was in the Kansas City area too. And that was still around the summertime, and it was at the Boulevard Brewery, Boulevard
Brewing. Yeah, it's a nice little place.
Yeah, and so they had a wedding, and the bride was a nurse, so they said masks, protocols and all of that. So I'm trying to remember. I think those are the 2 that I did travels. I mean, I went camping one time, but it was just a small family group, but nothing like too extenuous of going like different states. But I think the farthest I was was Kansas City.
Yeah, we didn't travel at all until May of this year. Had a funeral in early May in the Kansas City area. That was just especially after, because we usually do probably 4 or 5 road trips with the family a year, and so after having a full year of not traveling. It was pretty rough, but I was lucky. I went skiing in February of 2020, about the middle of February. So right when things were like, is this real? Is this happening? What's going on? But thankfully, where we went was a small town, and I found out afterwards there was a case of COVID there, but we just did groceries and cooked at our condo. So no real outside contact, and then we were skiing. So I mean, we were all bundled up, head to toe. There's a lot of social distancing, and no traveling during, but right there at the end. Here this summer, tried to open it up a little bit. Nothing too crazy yet though. So
yeah, that happened to me. That happened to me too when I was scheduled to go to Mississippi. I had it all planned out. And I was supposed to go in March, and the same scenario with me. I was watching the news, and they were talking about how the cases were going up, and I didn't know. I was just thinking, okay, should I fly, risk it, put the mask on, do what I got to do? And just after thinking it through, I said, no, we'll just wait. We postponed, and I had to postpone it twice. I was going to go in June, but it wasn't really comfortable yet. So then I decided late June. I said, okay, we're just going to drive out there. And I remember the cases were high in the south, especially going through Texas and Arkansas. So I was in that car. I remember mask on, gloves, and just making sure, being aware of my surroundings. But thankfully, everything went well. Came back, and the things are getting. At the time, it was real tough, especially with the flying, because it was that risk factor.
Oh, yeah.
The risk factor, the airborne. and
They're
everything.
pretty strict on the flights
Mhm.
right now, I think. I mean, you get your mask below the nose and you're getting tossed.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're still
they're
strict.
not messing around.
So, what's the protocol on that? Do you have to have the shot or not a shot to fly?
I think you have. I think you don't have to have the shot. You just have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Let's take a brief pause and give a thanks to our sponsors.
Our upcoming show of Wichita Sports Fellas. We're going to talk about NFL, college football, Major League Baseball, and we're going to have a special edition of Wichita Sports Fellas talking about fantasy football. But listen up, listeners. We have a drawing for a gift card to either Superstar Sports or Fanatics.com by going to the website RazorCutInfo.wixsite. That's WIXSITE.com. And Twitter and Instagram. We would love to hear from you guys.
And Chris, what other shows do we got coming up?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Calling All Nerds, Wichita Vice, talking about comic books and superheroes. The next show, we're going to discuss some upcoming movies, review some of that have recently come out, some of our favorite shows and movies. Also going to have a special segment of Silver Cosmic movie reviews. Don't forget, we always like to talk about one of the Marvel and DC villains and heroes each month. So can you guess who they are this month? You're going to have to wait and find out.
I cannot wait. And also, we're going to unveil the new shows coming up, which is Quantum Unveiled. This goes out to all our conspiracy theorists. Anybody that's curious to know what's going on behind the scenes, tune in when we unveil the new episode of Quantum Unveiled. Also, we will have a new show that's going to be more down to earth. You say down to earth, or you mean very blunt. Tune in to the new show called Diplomatic Resolutions, where different opinions come together. At the end, we all have to be diplomatic about it. Tune into that new episode and new channel called Diplomatic Resolutions. All right, you guys. Well, any final thoughts, Patrick?
Well, my final thought is, and this is kind of a quote and a mantra that I like to follow: growth will never happen when excuses are allowed. In life, we make so many excuses, but it doesn't give us the opportunity to grow. Especially with 2020 happening, a lot of people have taken the time to grow, get out of their comfort zone, because you have to get out of your comfort zone to grow. So the only way growth will happen, guys, is if there are no excuses allowed. So stop making excuses and make some work and make some effort so that we can evolve into the individual that we want to be.
Amen.
How about you, Taylor?
Yeah, I just thank you for mentioning that, Patrick. I think a lot of our audience can relate to that, myself included. I do want to just thank Carlos again for bringing us together, starting up our podcast again. Thank you, Chris, Patrick, our audio team, for what they do, and then for our audience for tuning in and being a part of our team. Thank you.
How about you, Andrew?
Honestly, I don't have much. Just the fact that I'm glad to be here, and I hope we can continue having some more fun. I love talking to you guys, and I'm glad I'm a part of the team.
Yay!
And how about you, Chris?
Man, I'm excited. I'm really excited. Got this going. Got the pods going again. Got 2020 behind us, and I'm with Patrick and Taylor. Just, man, let's keep with the good, positive growth, and I think for 2020 is just like, hey, it's time to get off your butts, everybody. Like,
Yeah.
You can't sit around and just do nothing. It's time to start living again. So let's get after it. And thanks, everyone. Carlos, I think your superpower's never given up, man.
That's right. Yeah, thank you, Carlos.
Good job.
Thank you for everybody. We really appreciate the opportunity.
And
Yeah.
don't forget to hit up that website, RazorCutInfo.wixsite.com.
Right.
And yes, and thank you guys as well. And my final thought goes to always seek self-improvement. I mean, like I said, there's resources out there through online, through peers. Don't be afraid to make adjustments in your life, because we could all use it. We're not perfect, and we're learning from ourselves each day. So like I said, and go and network, go out and being able to talk to people to help you on that path, friends, family, or even loved ones, whatever the case is. Also to appreciate and cherish each day that you're living. Be thankful, and also, set aside the things that are irrelevant. And when I say that, because time is time, life, everything that we have is beautiful. So there's just no need for getting angry, getting worked up on things that are not necessary. So, but on my final shout, I want to say, thank you to all the friends, family, and again, loved ones, and also to my wife, the kids, mom and dad. Love you guys, and that pretty much wraps it up.
We'll be back again soon.
Yeah, we'll be
Very
back.
soon.
We'll be
Soon.
back. Let's go.
All right, and one last thing, you guys, please follow us. We're on Facebook. We're also, if you signed up on Spotify, iTunes, we're on there as well. That's under RCI Podcasts. We're also working on getting on iHeart, and also on our webpage. When you go on our webpage, please feel free to comment if there's some shows you want to talk about, or you want to get to voice your opinion on anything. Please get on there. Feel free. We always like to hear back from you guys. So we thank you very much.